What is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Icy and today I'm gonna be doing a tutorial for you. But before we begin, I want to give a special thanks to everyone who supported me. It really means the world. But let's get started. Today I'm gonna be teaching you how you can make terrain. I'll show you how you can make the foundation of the terrain. I'll also show you how you can build the individual assets that makes up all of the terrain in the end. And of course, enhancing the overall look and feel of the build just to make it a bit more dynamic. And we can't forget about adding a layer of grass on top, can we? And lastly, we add the foliage just to make everything feel complete. So, the first thing we do is we open our Axiom menu. You can do this by pressing your right shift key on your keyboard. Then go to shape tool and find super sphere. Now you can just change the size parameters until you get something you like. If you are uncertain, feel free to just copy my settings. I also want to mention, you don't have to make it perfect. You just have to trust the process and then it's gonna go great. When you feel like you got a shape you like, you just move it up into the air and move it to the side, so we have enough space for everything else that's gonna come. We're just gonna make a few more variations and then we're good to go on to the next step. As soon as you finish your first one, you just go on to the next step. You do the exact same thing, but you just change up the sizes a bit and you're good to go. It's not essential to do a lot of variation, but it's always nice to have a few extra. Now you can cut off the top of your boulders. This part isn't essential, I must mention, but I like to do it. For good measures, we just move them all a bit away after this step. The reason why we do it is because we don't want a lot of mess in our workspace, you know. We want to make it clean. The best way I found to move things in the air is essentially just using your magic select in Axiom and then set it to block or any. In my case, all of it was made of emerald, so I just picked block. Moving on to the next step, we got the foundation. For the foundation I use an arc brush boulder, and to be honest with you, this has been a go-to for me for many years. This is without a doubt one of the most versatile brushes you can use, and it just works perfectly for terrain, especially foundations. And as you can see, I'm just clicking, I'm just spamming. It doesn't need to be perfect, just get a shape you like and run with it. Once you get that shape that you really like, you just smooth it all out with the command on screen and you're good to go on to the next step. For this next step, we take all of the small rocks that we made at the beginning and we turn them into big boulders. You don't have to be very precise with this one. Since it's rock, it has to look a bit more organic. So what I usually do is I just take some of the smaller pieces and connect them to one of the bigger pieces. And then I just keep doing this process until I get a shape I like. However, most of the time I tend to go for an upside down cone shape. This helps me bring out all of the overhang. For this part, I use the magic select once again. I copy and paste it, move it into the foundation we previously made. When I'm happy with how it looks, I just do the same process over and over until I get a shape I like. And of course, sometimes you need to rotate them just a bit. What you can also do is take the already existing boulder that we did, copy it and turn it into yet another variation of boulder. You do this to save time and also improve the overall look in the end. And as you can see, it's a very simple process. You essentially just mix and match them together until you find something you like, rotate them a bit, add some smaller boulders to it, and you're good. Place the boulder that we just did on the terrain to get the overall desired shape that you are going for. Next step, in Axiom, I'm setting up a tool mask to make sure that I can only interact with the emerald block while I'm in Axiom. I then once again locate the shape tool of Axiom and then I look for cylinder. I then set an active block that I can use as a placeholder. This will be removed later on. I find the rough size I want and rough height to make sure that I pierce all the way through. Now I find the cube The reason we take the cube is because with the cube we can give it a nice angled cut and it's gonna look wonderful. I adjust the X, Y and Z values to make sure they fit what I'm going for. I would rather have them overhang a little bit. And now that I'm happy with my placement, I take off my tool mask and go under magic select. I then select all of the red wool and then I remove it. So now you can see the shape has improved a lot. Now I redo my selection. The reason I do it is because I need to make sure that I actually removed all of my red wool. Now I change all of it to emerald just so it's a bit easier for me to work with. I then smear in all directions I feel like it's needed. And then we're good. Then I can manually fix up all of the mistakes I'm doing. If there's some parts I don't like, I just fix it. I now G-mask 133. I could also G-mask emerald block, but for this I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna use the block ID. Then I replace with an arc angle to add the layer of grass on top. And now for what most of you probably have been waiting the most for, the shading. I start by taking my G-mask off and then I type this command on screen. And also there's a ton of presets to choose from, so you can just pick any, but for this I'm gonna go with Fade Orange. Now for the layer of foliage. We start by setting our G-mask to air. Place above hand with another block. You can see the command down below. It's very important that we keep the block we want to place something above in our hand. Now we make the foliage palette and then we're good to go. For this I like to use a lot of blocks that are very similar in color, but also have a few that sticks out. Once you're happy with your palette, you go on the left side and make a selection, and you go on the right side and make a selection again, and you stand where you started. Now that you're standing here, you type this command, and of course you can set it to any name you want. You then make a selection of your build. Put the placeholder that you decided on earlier should be above the grass in your hand, and now you type this command. And lastly, we take the block of wool in our hand and we replace it with this command right here. And then your project is finished.